What's up, Blake?
Sorry, I had to bail on you guys on that last one.
Well, Blake's back.
I had a serious bowel movement strike me.
God. Had that short rib, wasn't it?
Son, come out longer than it was when I ate it.
Went in short, came out long.
Just be glad you don't have a hemorrhoid.
Gosh, that thing would have greased right on by a hemorrhoid.
Good night.
Dude, I didn't know what happened to you. You just got up and rolled out. I mean, me and Chili might have thought you was getting mad at us or something, dude.
No.
Thought we offended you.
Well, y'all know I have been wanting to run for office. And kind of ticking me off, but
Good gosh almighty, son. Just
Yes.
rolled on out.
Should have came back in.
I had some serious.
Chili, what's up with that shirt you got on, dude?
Yeah, man. We should have been done talking about it. I just figured, all the talk about Chili getting beat at PT and I'm just getting a lot of hate on the internet. So I just thought I'd make this in response. The Pale Horse Killer shirt. Actually, I didn't make it.
Well, the more of a megastar you become, the more hate you're going to get, right?
I'm not a megastar.
Oh, yeah.
But this shirt was made by Brother David Vahey, the Pale Horse Killer shirt. If you go on the YouTube, maybe you can see it pretty good.
It's really an epic shirt, dude.
Oh, it's freaking awesome.
That would be a bestseller if we sold it.
Yeah, there ain't but 2 of them in circulation.
I like it like that. One for you, one for me.
That is a epic shirt, dude.
Oh, yeah. He probably would. He would probably make more for us, but I don't think anyone would buy it anyway. It's really just meant for me. It's a one of a kind.
I have a feeling in 5 years you'll be able to autograph that shirt and sell it for like $250,000. I mean, for charity purposes, you know what I mean?
Chad, no. You might could.
No, man, your fame is growing.
First of all, thankfully I can provably refute you on that. And second of all, I don't want it to, even if it was.
Well,
but lucky for me, it's not.
Dude,
my fame is, I'm not famous. And I thank God for that.
Well, I guess that's why I went into a bike shop / coffee shop in Milton, Georgia yesterday, where I have no ties to this place. And someone comes up to me and starts talking to me. And part of their conversation, they were a fan. Part of their conversation was, what's up with this Chili guy? Like, well, listen, how do you explain that?
3 of 7 is growing.
And by the way, there are fans and there are people that are part of the body of 3 of 7 project, okay? This guy was a fan. He ain't know nothing about what 3 of 7 actually was. He was like a guy that watched the Mid-State Mile on Instagram, right? That's a fan, right?
Which we're thankful for.
Yeah. I'm thankful for that. I'm just,
well, dang, I didn't meet this guy. I would have met him. I mean, I guess you talked to him long enough, and he's not a podcast listener.
No, I told him about the podcast.
That's good.
He asked, "What's up with Chili, man?"
Well, that was his claim to fame. Chili's the Mid-State Mile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was where his initial step into being a megastar. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
He did such a good job out there, man.
Yep.
When I put Chili in charge of covering that race, I thought, man, I don't know how this is gonna go. I thought, but he just crushed it, dude. And the people love him. The people love you, Chili.
I think what is happening is there's a few people that have told you, they're like, hey, man, we like you, Blake, and Chili. And so a couple people have been like, oh, Chili. So that's got it in your head that, like,
No.
The
people love you, man.
That because, like, two people have said something about me, you've got it in your head that I'm famous or whatever word you like to use. That's not the case, man.
Listen, I'll reaffirm that in Chad that things can happen a couple times.
Yeah,
and he will.
That's exactly what happened.
He will say that they happen a lot.
He heard somebody mention my name, and he was like, "My gosh, Chili's catching on." I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, and I like it that way. Please, but that's what happened. Somebody was like, "Hey, man,
you are the Luke Skywalker of 307 Project."
What does that mean? What is that?
You're
Who
the
is
young
that? Who's
Jedi,
he?
dude.
Who's he?
Luke Skywalker for real?
You don't know Luke Skywalker?
Oh, okay. You got to watch the old school Star Wars.
I've never watched Star Wars.
And you're in the
freaking Space Force and you never seen Star Wars?
That's fake crap, man. I live it. You understand me? I live Star Wars. I've heard of that movie, but I've never
can't wait
seen.
to see the memes that Jeff Forrester puts out off the past 2 episodes.
Look, I'm Yoda. You're Luke Skywalker.
I know who Yoda is. That's the green alien.
Yeah, I'm Yoda. You're Luke. Yoda.
Darth Vader.
Yoda brought when Luke Skywalker
Darth Vader
met Han Solo. Blake's Han Solo.
I'm Jabba the Hutt.
No, you ain't Jabba.
Who's that? Who are these people?
Who could be Jabba?
Uh,
We got to find the dang Jabba the Hutt, man.
Poppy.
He's Jabba the Hutt.
Who the crap are these people?
Blake is Han Solo. So when Luke Skywalker meets Han Solo, Hans is like, Luke, the Force is strong with you, man. You got to go spend some time with Yoda. And so Luke goes into this swamp. He actually crashes his ship in this swamp where Yoda is. Yoda's like a legend. He's supposed to be in here somewhere, right?
I sound like Yoda.
And so,
No, you ain't Yoda.
So then finally, Luke Skywalker links up with Yoda, and Yoda develops Luke Skywalker.
Oh, I get it now.
Through the ranks
I get what.
of becoming a Jedi, right?
I don't know.
Chili, man, the Force is with you strong, son. You have got to, listen, there's this Navy SEAL wizard hermit. I can tell you where he resides. You're going to have to go spend some time with him and let him develop you. And you'll be somebody one day if you follow in his footsteps.
I'll be somebody if I do that.
Yeah.
You keep staying under my tutelage, and you will be somebody.
He'll have you in that niche you need to be in.
Niche.
Man, them niches are strong. Well, you do make a few people mad whenever you.
Chili, do you understand how many people would pay to be in your position? Don't forget, man.
Huh? What position?
I trained for years, man, so that I could build you up. I trained for years so that I could build you up to be the Jedi that you will become.
What?
All right?
What are you talking about?
Literally,
you just said several things I need you to clarify.
Literally, a big part of the reason that I trained for years as a SEAL was because God knew there was going to be a day that there was going to be this young man named Trilly, and he was going to he had all the raw material, but he was going to need to be tutelaged by somebody.
Chili Skywalker.
I think
That's
the word
right.
is tootled.
Chad's going to have to tootle you.
He would go. He just needed to be tootled. All right. Now, see,
What are you talking about? People pay to be in my shoes.
See, I don't coach people.
People would pay to be tootled by you. You should offer that as
look,
tootling service.
You can't buy my tutelage. All right? It ain't for sale.
Yeah.
I want to buy it.
I don't coach people, man. Right?
But you'll tootle.
The tootle that you are getting, I'm paying you to be tootled.
Next time we get some requests.
You're getting paid to be tootled.
We get requests time to time. People say, does Chad do one-on-one coaching? I'm going to say, no, but he'll tootle you. Say, you ever been tootled?
Oh, man.
I mean,
man, that's the new thing. There's no life coaches or nothing.
Tootler.
You just
put that in the Instagram bio.
Tootler.
Level 5 tootler.
Elite tootling.
Look, Chili. Look, man.
I'm looking.
Don't take it for granted, dude. You know, it's like this paddle trip, dude. You know, this is part of your tutelage. And, you know, you're starting to take things for granted. What you don't understand is people are really want. They really want what you're getting paid to receive. What a grand position you're in, young Jedi.
He sounds pretty arrogant.
We need to let him go talk to Tom Wright for a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Tom sees it.
Yeah. Tom, I'm working on him, son. Tom
sees it in what? Who?
Tom,
me?
We tell you to be patient. Look, Tom, Chili has the force is strong with him. We are building him up in the ways of the Jedi. And the interesting thing about Luke Skywalker.
What's a Jedi?
A Jedi is like an elite warrior, a righteous warrior that fights with the Force, the good Force in the Star Wars movie.
This sounds sacrilegious.
There's good and evil in Star Wars, right? And the good Force, the Jedi feels that and follows that. And so Luke Skywalker actually ends up becoming like the savior of
that sounds like pantheism.
The universe. Oh, dude, that's all Hollywood does.
That sounds like pantheism.
You do realize that all Hollywood does over and over and over again is copies the script of the Bible. Well, because there's no better story.
I need to watch Star Wars then, and I'm never going to, but I'd like to study the whatever you want to call it, religious connotations in it. That'd be interesting.
It's really a great series. Now the new ones, I'm not much of an advocate for them, but the old ones that came out, and I guess in the 70s and 80s, they're pretty epic.
Good
man.
Force and bad force. It sounds like transcendentalism, maybe an oversoul with a good force. That's interesting.
Darth Vader is obviously part of the evil force.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. Anyway,
who are you talking to? Tom. What does he say about me?
He knows the force is strong in you. He just knows we've got to hone that in. Tom, don't worry. He's spending time.
What is he worried about me?
He's spending time with Yoda every day.
He just knows you need tootling.
Is he worried about me, or does he think I've got potential?
No, he ain't worried about you.
Dude, speaking of this paddle trip, what about this daggone alligator, dude? Brett just sent us a picture of this gator that was harvested on the Altamaha River. 11 foot 6 inches. This joker is a beast, son. Yeah. I did not know that something like that
lived in Georgia.
It is going to be
amongst us.
Might be easing on up.
Yeah.
On my sandbar.
Sunning.
I mean, that joker right there,
he's serious.
You may need to pull off in the woods a little ways.
Yeah. that if we see something like that, I don't know what I'm gonna do. That's serious. I ain't looking to tackle one like that.
When they get in double digits, man, that's grown.
You was more thinking along the scale of about this coffee table, wasn't you?
No, about the size of that soundboard right
Oh,
there.
okay.
Except you can just reach down with your hand and
If it gets you, you might just get a little cut on your
yeah,
finger
you
or
get a
something.
few prick marks,
That one right there take the top half of your body off.
Yeah, that joker right there, he could get you a whole top of your head and shoulders in his mouth.
He'd roll with you for a while.
He's a terrible unit, son.
What'd
I
they
mean,
kill him with?
I don't know. I don't know if they trapped him or shot him or what the world. I don't even know. Why would you even want to kill an alligator that big? They eat it or get the skin or what?
Probably both.
That joker's a beast, dude. I'm fired up about this mess. I mean, I'm fired up. I found my cast iron skillet.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice size.
Chili's really upset about this because, you know, Chili, we don't know what's going on with him, but he wants to do this trip
Glad you finally admitted it.
very primitively. And so now we're actually going to bring food and stuff. And Chili's upset about that. And now he's making fun of us, saying that we should just eat at restaurants along the river every night.
Well, there actually are some.
There's like 2.
Yeah,
One at the beginning, one at the end.
So we'll get a good meal at a restaurant, then we'll paddle 130 miles, then get another good meal at a restaurant, and then be done.
well, you're acting like I'm going. We don't need to get into that again, but I just made fun of how y'all were doing it. I didn't want to do it primitively. I just,
Well, I can't even get into that right now.
get them in a bad way.
What I want to talk about on today's podcast is your health. The choices that you make about your personal health. All right? And I think I want to hit it from a couple different angles. First being how your health affects your spiritual life. Second of all, about how your health affects society. Third of all, about how your health affects the people that love you. All right? And I'm not talking, this conversation doesn't pertain to people who have a chronic illness that is not a direct result of a poor health decision.
Yeah.
All right? So if you have some chronic illness, now I'm not talking about this diabetes thing. This diabetes epidemic.
That you bring on yourself.
This is part of this conversation, okay? You bring that on yourself. Which one is that? Type 2?
Well, yeah, type 1, you're essentially
Type 1.
born with.
You're born
or, develop as a child with your pancreas doesn't function.
Okay, so that's what we're not talking about. People that have sicknesses like that. You have no control over that, man.
And then type 2 is, I guess there would be some arguments to be made that it's not directly a lifestyle thing, but essentially it is. It's, you develop insulin resistance. You eat so much sugar and such a poor, so little activity level and such a high sugar, low quality diet that you develop insulin resistance, which turns into you teaching your pancreas not even how to produce insulin when you take in glucose, and then it just gets so out of whack that you develop diabetes and have to take, insulin the rest of your life. So,
yep. As I thought through how our health, our physical health affects our relationship with Jesus and our prayer life and our spiritual life, it was interesting because I was reading through Daniel and I saw something in here that was pretty cool, I thought. And so here's where the book of Daniel, this is in chapter 10, Daniel essentially is looking for the answer to a vision. And it says he was mourning for 3 full weeks, and he ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh, so no bread, no meat, and no wine. Neither did he anoint himself at all for 3 weeks. So essentially, it sounds like this is where the Daniel fast thing came from, right? Yeah. And so he's just cut all pleasantries out of his diet. He's just eating for sustenance, it sounds like. And when he did this, finally he receives an answer to his prayers. An angel comes to him, and here's what the angel that comes to him, the heavenly messenger, says. In verse 10, it says, "And behold, a hand touched me." This is Daniel. And the angel says, "O Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee I am now sent." Daniel stands up, and then in verse 12, he says, the angel says to Daniel, "Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and chastened yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I am come for your words." And this was interesting to me because there was a kind of a two-part thing here, that this heavenly messenger that's bringing the answer to Daniel's prayer to him, there's two things that he points out that allowed Daniel to reach a place where he received this answer to prayer. And it was, first, Daniel set his heart, put his heart in a good place, a place where he was truly trying to understand what God wanted to speak to him. And the second was he chastened his body. All right? I feel like making good decisions about your health, a huge piece of that is your diet. A huge piece is what is your diet. And if you are going to make healthy choices about the things that you eat, you are going to have to do, on some level, what Daniel did here, and that is chasten yourself. This is part of making good decisions about your health. And we see when we hone in the ability to chasten ourselves, that it actually puts us in a position, I think, where we can hear God speaking to us in whatever way he decides to do that.
If you're doing it for that reason.
Yeah, if you're doing it for that reason. That's exactly right. But I even think overall, having a healthy physical body and making good health decisions is going to put you in a position to where you are really closer to Jesus in your day-to-day walk, because you just simply feel better, man. Like, your mind is clearer. Mm-hmm. You can understand things better. If you're on a good schedule, you're going to spend more time in God's word and in prayer. If you're sick and you feel like crap, it's hard to take that time. Like, you're just in a fog, man. And, you know, I also think we talk about chastening ourselves, and especially for the reason of spiritual growth. It brings me to the example when the disciples were trying to cast this demon out of this person, and Jesus comes to them and says, "Man," the disciples are like, "What the world, man? We can't get this thing out." Jesus casts it right out. He says, "Well, this one only goes out through prayer and fasting."
Yeah.
And there again, we see an example of chastening ourselves and choosing to make these decisions in order to, Jesus says it specifically, accomplish this task.
Well,
And
Paul says, I discipline my body.
that's the one I wanted to look up to read through that, because that was the other verse that really came to my mind. This is where you guys talk.
Well, a lot of it was, well, I'm confused about the parallels you're drawing between eating like a healthy diet and fasting. I mean, like what Daniel did was
a healthy diet.
Well, yeah, but what they was talking about specifically there was more of just a fast. I mean, he cut out like meat and everything, you know. I mean, it was more of the benefits that a fast can do spiritually and, you know.
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying he didn't eat healthy or wasn't even talking about that. I'm just saying I think there's two different things, because you could argue that for your physical health, a prolonged fast is not like the best thing to do. Yeah. You know,
what I'm saying is that every time your body is inclined to eat unhealthy things.
Yes.
Okay. Your body is your mind is look, even primitive cultures, if they could get their hands on donuts,
well, that's for survival.
All they would eat is donuts.
You're inclined to eat fat, high carb, stuff like
that's
that.
Exactly
that will
right.
build body fat to protect you from if you have to go forced prolonged periods of time without food.
That's right.
That's why.
So but see, the fact that I don't know the percentage, I don't do percentages anyways, but the fact that when I go down here and ride by the Texas Roadhouse, the people that I see coming out of the Texas Roadhouse are either fat or they're either so fat they can barely walk, or they're so old they can barely walk. They're either fat or old. And
or chili.
And so that is simply because these people have given into this primal urge to literally eat crap constantly.
We can go to the Texas Roadhouse and get a steak and salad.
Yeah, okay. But they're not doing that. They're not doing that, okay? All right. So here's the correlation here. The correlation is every time you choose to make a healthy decision as it revolves around your diet, you are having to chasten a certain part of your flesh. It's going against this primal urge for you to eat complete junk all the time. That's the correlation. And 1 Corinthians was the part that Blake was talking about here. Paul says, do you not know that in a race, all runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable prize, but we an imperishable. So I do not run aimlessly. I do not box as one beating the air, but I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. And here's the third part of this. As a servant of Christ, publicly, my health, publicly serving Christ, my health is bigger than me. Paul specifically says, I discipline my body and keep it under control. He's speaking of his physical body, so that after preaching to others, I should not become disqualified.
It's really bringing your flesh into submission.
Yep, it is, and it's making the conscious effort to do that. And I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I can't listen to a fat preacher. I just can't do it. I can't get over it. I don't know if that's. I'm sure that's not right. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm not putting down some rule here that if your local pastor is overweight, that you should discredit him. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that as a servant of Christ, we do not take this as seriously as we should take it, because the world is watching you.
Well, it's a sign of hard work if you're not. And the Bible talks plenty enough about hard work.
Yeah. The world is watching you. And if you are looking dumpy and professing Christ, guess what the world that doesn't know Christ thinks about you? They think you're freaking dumpy, because that's what they can see.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, what do people do after a gathering, a church service? It's traditionally, they leave there and they go and pig out, man. And there's a bunch of dumpy folks.
Yeah.
That fill these church buildings. And I'm going to tell you, it's a problem within the body of Christ, and it affects your ability to witness. It affects your service to Christ, and it affects your ability, in my opinion, to be connected with Christ. Your dumpiness does.
Yeah, I think it discredits what you're saying to an extent, and it can cause other people to be confused or to stumble in the same way that maybe drinking a beer, when someone sees that, like, and they have this unclear thought of what that is, but I think with it going back to the fasting, like, it's your intent behind being healthy and eating a good diet. I think you're right in the fact that you do have a much clearer mind, like, while you're doing it and even after and just day to day, you have a clearer mind and therefore you're able to operate better. But there are plenty of fit people who don't have a relationship with God and therefore they're not connected to God. So it's not like this miraculous thing where you get fit and all of a sudden now you hear God.
Definitely.
I think that can happen through fasting. So if your intent is saying, all right, look, I'm going to get in shape because I know I should, and part of this is going to be me eating healthier for Jesus. And when you make that decision, then I think you get those things from it. But you can't just be a Christian and just work out and eat healthy and not connected to. And in my opinion, you're not going to really, it's not going to be much different. If you don't do it for the intent and be conscious of it while you, like when you say, dang, I really want that donut. And then you remember, well, I'm doing this so that I'll be connected to God more and I will also be healthier. So then it reminds you of God in that moment because you want the donut and you're not eating it because of this.
Yeah.
Because of Jesus. So it reminds you of Jesus, and it's just those little things throughout the day that replace the thought of the food.
Well, it kind of comes into, it all comes into how you view food. Are you using food as fuel for your body to survive? Or are you eating food for pleasure and enjoyment? I mean, it really is it's a fundamental difference in how people view.
The pleasure is connected to the primal instinct that you have.
Or how you, it's how you view food, man. Like if you view food through the lens of like, because you have to make a decision for everything that you're going to eat. So if you sit down at dinner and you can either ask yourself two things. You can ask yourself, what do I want to eat tonight? Or what is the best thing for me to fuel my body tonight? Those are two totally different questions. If you ask yourself that question, you're going to eat one thing. If you ask yourself, what does my flesh want to eat tonight? You may eat something.
You're going to eat a short rib.
Yeah.
You're going to have to run off from the podcast.
Salt rib.
I mean, you see what I'm saying though? There's a fundamental difference in how you look at food. What is food? Is it a means to, I don't know how to say this and not sound weird, like to get pleasure, or is it to fuel your body to survive and perform the tasks that you want to perform?
Yeah. But that's the part that takes the discipline, is getting to that point where it you
just have to view food different.
Well,
food is fuel. I mean,
I dispute that, because again, the pleasure that you get from eating sweet, fatty, unhealthy food, that pleasure is coming from a response that's hardwired into your body is giving you that pleasure so that you will continue to do that.
You're biologically, because you actually do need some of that.
Yeah. So
you actually need fat and protein and salty foods when you're working hard.
But the body is weak. It wants you to keep eating that, right? So it takes chastisement of the body in order to bring that into subjection.
Well, it has no like discernment. The body is just the body.
Yeah.
It doesn't know that, well, you're living in America and you can get food at the drop of a hat within 5 minutes. It just knows you need it, and it's just going to keep telling you, I need it, I need it, I need it. And that's where your brain comes into play, and you say, well, I understand you think you need it, but you really don't.
Nutrition is very difficult to nail down, and the biggest thing in my estimation of nutrition is actually not nutrition at all. It's your lifestyle. How active are you? How much are you working and bringing yourself into physical submission? Because we do live in a strange world, man. All throughout history, it's been changing, like what you have access to. It's weird that we can even eat bananas.
Yeah.
We live in
Georgia
and Tennessee. Like, we shouldn't be able to eat bananas. They come on a plane in a crate and ship them to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you used to could only eat local, what you'd find, and we eat packaged goods all the time. It's just, we live in a strange world, and some of that stuff is not healthy for you, but it's all broken down into your body needs those things that Chad's talking about, you being hardwired to desire. It actually needs those things. That's why it's hardwired to think that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean, like, people go crazy with that in a society of excess.
Yep.
So if you're bringing yourself into submission and you don't eat, more than you're putting out, generally you're going to be okay. Because there is no perfect diet for everyone to eat.
Yeah.
Like some people have different.
So let's transition to how your decisions around your personal health impact society, our culture, or your community. All right, let's transition on that.
I think we disagree on this a little bit.
Yeah, you might.
What do you think?
So I'll give you the most basic example that I can formulate here. When society collapses, it will reset to the way it was.
Oh, so you're already cheating.
Okay. So when it does reset,
I agree with you.
it will reset to the way humans were meant to live. Okay. Which is, it will be small communities of people that are working to survive. Essentially, each person will be contributing a skill, a task, a purpose, in order for the community to survive. So, when that happens, whether it's my lifetime or hundreds of years from now, say I have taken control of a piece of land. Because, by the way, when this happens, no land doesn't belong to anyone. What you can hold is yours. So say I have this piece of land, and I'm looking to build a community because I want to live in community, because that's the way God designed us as humans to live.
And it will inevitably happen.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking for members to come in and be a part of this community so that we can all thrive. I am not going to accept a person who makes poor decisions about their personal health. I am not going to accept that person to be a part of not my community, but the community. Because that person will be nothing but a liability to the community. They may be able to contribute little bits here and there, but ultimately they will simply be a liability. So, on a grander scale, the U.S. healthcare spending is growing rapidly. In 2019, we spent $3.8 trillion, which is $11,582 per person on healthcare. All right.
That's not your tax money either, by the way. They just printed that.
Yeah.
Your tax money gets sent into a big vat and they burn it.
Who spent that? That's the average that each American person spent on their own health care? Or
if you took the total spending,
and that's the total spending of American
the United States
citizens spending on their own
Well, it'd be policies. I mean,
insurance companies, essentially, yeah. So if you divvied it up, then every single American, if you divvied it up perfectly, every person spent $11,582 on healthcare in 2019. All right? Well, the interesting thing is in 2019, I don't even think I haven't been to the doctor in probably 3 years. So I didn't actually spend anything. Right? I didn't spend anything. But there are a lot of people out here that spend a lot more than their $11,582. They spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions,
well, and some
on
people,
their personal health care, right?
It's, I don't know. But Blake asked about the statistic. I don't know the details either, but it could be people with cancer and stuff.
Well, yeah,
so
but that's not what we established in the beginning of this conversation.
Right.
Those aren't the people we're talking about. We're talking about the diabetic, the type 2 diabetic that is eating them, that have made the conscious decision to eat themselves to death, to the point that now they have to go to the doctor and get this prescription to keep themselves alive because of a choice they made to eat themselves to death. Okay, that's the type of people we're talking about. Well, all right, but now I like to have health insurance, right? Even though I'm not going to the doctor, because we have a large portion of society that is choosing to be unhealthy, guess what that does to my health insurance? Even though I'm choosing to be healthy, it forces me to pay a premium that is dang near impossible to afford.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's how I'm paying my $11,000 a year healthcare bill. I'm paying that into my health insurance that I don't really need. I just keep it there as an emergency policy, right? So this, in my opinion, is how you, if you are an unhealthy person, because of your lifestyle choices, you are burdening the healthy people of your nation directly. You are burdening us. And this is how an unhealthy population actually burdens a society or a nation and literally just will eventually run it to the ground. Not only from this perspective, but also just from the perspective of how productive are you within your local community? How does this affect your contribution to your community? If you are literally sustaining life with some using multiple prescription drugs to keep you alive because you've ate yourself and set yourself to death, you are not going to be putting the maximum contribution that you can put into your community if you're living that lifestyle. So you're just literally dragging the community down. All right? Your health decisions, your personal health decisions are bigger than you. And you may not give a crap. Well, you may not give a crap. That just tells me you're a selfish person.
Yeah. Well, the reason that happens is because people do that. They get so overweight and they start to have health problems and they go to the doctor. And instead of the doctor saying, look, man, you're having these problems because of your diet and lack of exercise and let's do some things right now
Says no doctor ever.
To fix these problems, and then you need to start shedding some pounds. Instead, they make it sound like, oh, that's all right, man. A lot of Americans have this high blood pressure and whatever it is, cholesterol, whatever you got.
A pill will fix it.
Yeah, and so let me just get you this, man. We got to do this all the time. So they think, oh dang, this isn't a big deal that I have this. This
Write you a
isn't
script.
this isn't my fault that I'm this way, and so that they lose the ownership of their own thing and think it's okay, you know, of their own health. And I mean, I know it's maybe getting off topic a little bit, but I think that's why it happens. If they went to a doctor and a doctor told them, hey, you just need to lose some weight, man. This stuff will go away. I'll get you something to help you out for the next couple months till you get back down to where you need to be. And then it'll go away. You just stop taking it. Then I think a lot more people would take ownership of it. And maybe if you're on this listening and you're overweight, like, we're not dogging you out. It gets aggravating, but we're not sitting here dogging you out. If you didn't know it, then go make an effort to start changing it, because I could legitimately, people live different lives than we live. And there are people out there that this has probably never crossed their mind. They think, I'm just out of shape. Why should anyone else give two craps if I'm fat and out of shape? This is my life. And and that's just, I mean, really, just people.
And you have that right.
That's the key.
But some people live the life and they really, like, they don't know they haven't considered it enough to know the difference. So we're not saying that you have to be healthy, you have to go do this stuff. In my mind, the perspective we're giving is, here are the reasons why you should.
It would help you.
Yeah, why you should not be in that shape, because not only will it help you, but it'll help the rest of society, and you will be a greater contributor. So I know Chad gets fired up about it, and it might seem like he's chastising you, and to a sense, maybe you need to be, but seriously consider this, and don't just take offense to it and say, well, whatever. I'm not gonna fool with that, you know.
Yeah, I'm not trying to mandate free. No. I'm not trying to mandate some physical health plan for anybody. I'm not trying to ban Coca-Colas. I'm not trying to ban donuts.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to do none of that. If you want to be a big nasty, you are free. You can do it.
This is what I wanted to get to.
But I'm telling you straight up, I don't like it.
Well, this is what I've been wanting to say is, like, I don't care as much about the society, like your contribution to society. That gets muddy. Like, it's for your family, man. It's for your relationship with Christ, like, to be healthy and to take care of yourself for, you know, things bigger than yourself. And then that extends to the larger community and society as a whole. You know, as a result, it just naturally does.
You may care more about it one day when you have two kids and you have to pay $1,500 a month in health insurance. You may care more about it then.
But that's the point. And you know, so that's the reasons to do it. But yes, you have to say, we're not trying to mandate a certain thing. I don't want to take away somebody's individual liberty to be able to sit in their house and smoke 5 packs of cigarettes a day. If that's what they want to do, go for it. I don't recommend that. I think you're being a detriment to your family and you know, by extension, everything past that. But yeah, and as far as, like, when I have kids and pay insurance one day, insurance is a scam, man. I mean, all kinds of insurance. If you don't have, and then you have to, something comes up and you have to pay for it, well, you're screwed.
But unfortunately, you got to be a part of that.
Well,
insurance is definitely a scam.
Yeah, but
if you're gonna go down here and partake in this health, like, if you don't just want to let your sick child lay on the floor and hopefully get better, you got to be a part of it, man.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So, and then I think that leads us right into a part that Blake is very passionate about, and how it is that your decisions around your personal health impact your family.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, that the first topic we hit on about spiritual, I got some, I'll mention one other thing later on about that, but I'm passionate about that, and also for the family, because for me, like, I do my best to stay in as good a shape as I can so that I can be around for my family as long as I can, because how selfish would it be of me to get bad out of shape, have these medical problems. So the family incurs a greater financial burden. So while I'm still alive, I'm doing nothing but just sapping energy and money and everything from what could go into other fun things and beneficial things for my family. But also, I'm going to die an early death. Yeah, I mean, that's just more than likely, And then you are then you're passing all of these extra. You're no longer around to help your family, especially I'm the only one who works. So in my situation, if I die, look at the burden I have just left my wife and kids with. And then, that's one aspect of it. And another one is of my kids' grandparents. Like, for them, I want it to be important to them to stay in shape because, man, they love to go to Nanny and Poppy and Grandma. That's what they call them. My wife's dad and my mom and dad, they love them. And I want them to take it serious because I want them to be around a long time and see the grandkids grow up. I don't want to have to tell them, they've passed away. You can't go see them anymore. I mean, to be honest, if it was something that was health related that they could have changed, I'd be pretty ticked about it for a while because that's a dang tough conversation to have with your kid. And so to me, that is why it's bigger than you. Like society, America, I get those things and they make sense. For whatever reason, I'm just not as passionate about it. Like it makes sense.
You're a family man, Blake.
Yeah, I mean, I am.
You're just a family man.
If I'm out on the street corner holding up the sign, it's be healthy for your family.
Yeah.
It's not be healthy for America. That's just the way I think about things. But yeah, that's
well. And Blake, for me also on that topic, it's not just so that you can hopefully have more life and more time to spend mentoring, loving, and pouring into the younger generation as a grandparent, as a father, as a mother. It's also and almost even bigger that how it impacts your ability to show up day to day. And what are you able, say because death can come from all different angles, but with the time that you do have, are you able to show up and be 100% for that person on that day?
It's the quality of your time.
The quality. What are you able to do with that person?
Yeah.
Can you take that young person that loves you, looks up to you, and wants to learn from you? Can you take them out into places and environments and things where you can actually participate in their lives?
Yeah.
That's huge, man.
Yeah, and it's selfish if you don't. If you choose not to, essentially what you're saying is my desire to not eat healthy and be active is more important to me than your family. That is what your actions are saying. You might not actually, your brain might not actually process that, but that's what your actions are saying, and what you're doing is that, man, I really do love my family, but I'm gonna eat this donut and not do anything, and just because that's just what I'm gonna do.
And for, there's so much more that plays into this than we're just attacking diet for the sake of time. But when we're talking about overall health, there's so much more that plays into it because, yes, for a lot of people, they are unhealthy because they are selfish and they don't want to chastise themselves and put in the work to be healthy. It's work to be healthy, man.
Yep.
You got to set some time aside to do that, right?
Yeah.
But there's all kinds of other things that your mental health plays huge into that. I'd say one of the major contributing factors to people being obese and unhealthy is the fact that their mental health has gone to freaking crap, man.
Stress.
Yeah, it's
cortisol.
it's stress. It's being depressed. It's It's being in situations in life where you're just unhappy with the way your life is, man. And then it's choosing the easy route and just staying in that freaking rut, man.
Yep.
And not getting out and changing the game for yourself, man. There's so many layers to this, but man, it's so true.
Well, the biggest thing for me is, and this is hypothetical, but what if you died and you're a Christian and you go to heaven and God says, man, Chad, I had a lot more stuff for you to do down there, but because your health decisions, you've just destroyed your temple that I've given you, and you can no longer, you've essentially shortchanged yourself, right? Like you had I don't know, this could be debated or whatever, but some
free
people
will.
Yeah, some people might say, well, if you got more work to do, God will sustain you. I don't buy into that. I mean, we have free will. We can make decisions with our body, and we can be smart with it and be a good steward of this body that we're given, right? And if you choose not to, and you shortchange your life here, what other Christians, what other people would have never heard the gospel because you died an early death, or the quality of your life there, like you just feel like crap, and you're like, man, I don't have the energy to go out and tell people about Jesus, whatever it is. But can you imagine, like, just think about that. If you were standing before Jesus, who made everything, and he says,
died for you.
Yeah, and died for you. And he says, man, I had some more stuff for you to do down there. What the world?
Or, dude, that leads me to a very interesting thought. I have no basis for scripture on this, but it leads me to the thought of, I wonder if the choices that you make, the things that you're in control of with your free will, if that influences at all how Jesus decides to use you within the body of Christ.
Yeah.
If Jesus don't look at you and say, this joker is just destroying himself, I can't send this joker on his mission, man.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'm going to have to find somebody else to do this mission because this joker can't walk 50 yards.
Yeah.
But with his foreknowledge, he knew you were going to make those decisions anyway.
I know. It's interesting. We can't comprehend it, obviously.
I'm just sitting here thinking about free will. We need to.
Well, and you got, that goes, we talked a little bit about it when we did the podcast with
Podcast.
The podcast with Corn. And he was talking about, like, I knew this was something God led me to do to go to the basic course. And he said, I either knew he was going to speak something to me or he needed me to go be there for somebody else. And he said, he gutted it out, but he said, if my fat butt was in better shape, how much more could I have served those people there? And so, that's a good thought. You got to be ready to go do whatever. It might be going out and hiking in the wilderness for 3 days. And if you ain't in good enough shape to do that, then you've just screwed it up.
Yeah. 100%. Well, this was the conversation that I wanted to have. I thought it was wonderful. Trilly, you didn't say much on this one, but, you got your words in on the last one, so hope you're satisfied.
I don't need to hit a word limit or a word count.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up because I got to go out and hit the head.
I'm done.
Love you guys. Enough said.